Alright everybody, welcome back to another episode of Haruna, and welcome into all the new people. I think my channel has grown 200% since the last time. You guys are the best. So thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, commenting, and sharing. It means the absolute world to me, especially as we have huge progress this week. We are finally finished with the Italian section of the park. So without further ado, let's get into the tour. The first thing we're going to go over is the area surrounding the new flat ride. Making our way down towards the roller coaster, I've finally completed this upper path area before the stairs. We finally have some nice planters on either side of the tower. And in a similar fashion to the rest of the park, I've added some retaining walls to keep the uniform look. From the Amphion Plaza, if we turn around and look up, we see that we in fact have our Huss Frisbee. If any of you have ever ridden Max Air at Cedar Point, I wanted to recreate the feeling of flying over the path. And when you get that right rotation on this ride, you can sort of look down and see people below you. And on the other side, it also goes above this path, as well as a little bit over the water. The name we went with for this ride is Gazzanti. Here's the logo. And to my knowledge, it has no official meaning in Italian, but it's actually instead a reference to Star Wars, as this is a ship. I think it was commonly used in Star Wars Rebels, so I'll put a picture on the screen now. And this is a sort of ode to Star Wars because I love Star Wars. Around the ride, we have a path as well as a retaining wall and a regular wall serving as a support system for this entire plaza area. And at nighttime, you can see there's lighting inside these little inlets to accentuate the depth of the wall. Along the path surrounding the ride, we have these small gazebos as well as a planter that goes around the entire length of the path. I've extended the tower to reach down to ground level here. However, there's still no door or any type of way into this building, so as of right now, it is still purely just a cosmetic feature. Moving through this area of the park, I wanted to add as many of these ash trees as possible to increase the shade in the area. Now, we'll go over the entrance to the queue. As typical as most of my rides in this park, we have the Gazzanti sign, as well as a bin, a bench in front of the line, and a estimated wait sign. Making our way up, we've got some more stairs, and I've gone through and added handrails to all of the stairs, not only just in this area, but the rest of the park as well. So anywhere where there's no handrail and there's stairs, I've gone ahead and added some. Moving into the queue, there's a simple wall as well as some simple fencing. I also made this new canopy design as a shade cover to combine with the other one. Overall, the modern look is achieved, and this result is accentuated at night. The next thing we'll delve into is the highlight of this episode, the Lighthouse. Right off the bat, this area of the park needed a restroom. The closest restroom being the one at Avanti Falls that we made last episode, or at a similar distance away, the Main Street ones we made in the episode prior. So now I present to you the Lighthouse toilets. This building had several inspirations, but primarily the one I'll put on the screen now. I wanted to keep the simplistic look of the Italian lighthouse, while also adding the typical stripes you would see on normal lighthouses, but sort of in a brownish color, to match the aesthetic of the rest of the park. And around this area, I added a bunch of rocks, and as a finishing touch, I added lots of thorns, branches, and bushes and vines to the sides of the building to make it look older than the rest of the park. Overall, I wanted this area to be a little different than the other area, meaning this area has a bunch of rocks while this area has none. Outside of the lighthouse, we've got our typical shaded benches. And across from it, we have the entrance to our flat ride, as well as the bridge back into Zafiro Square. One of my favorite things about this lighthouse is the fact that it has an oscillating light. So about every 10 seconds, it will shine a pulse like this one. And that pulse lasts about 3 seconds before it goes away. Additionally, I use the octagonal gazebo piece that has a reflective gold floor so that it's even shinier from above or from wherever aerial viewing angle you're going to be seeing it from. And lastly, for my favorite part of this episode, we're going to get into our Venetian Alleyway, making our way across the bridge into Zafiro. Notably, all the area outside of the waterfall has been fenced off with some high fences. And now we are greeted with a new fork in the road that goes left and right. The right side is a picnic area that's shaded by a large acacia tree. Now if we head left down this path of the road, you'll notice the back side of this building has been completely overhauled. This is my favorite view because it looks exactly like the reference image that I will put on the screen now. And this is what I ultimately was inspired by when I created this sort of outdoor restaurant. So of course we've got our actual vendor that people can eat from in the game, the Monster Frites, and I've gone ahead and added a menu. As an ode to the reference image, I've gone ahead and called this area Taverna Auditore. Making our way back through, we have a menu for the other restaurant, the outdoor restaurant. Right now it's just Luigi's menu. It's the first image that popped up on Google Images. To the left, we have a waiting line with a worker who will take reservations and bring you to your seat. This is the main entrance to the restaurant, but of course it's empty. And the whole outdoor patio is covered by a trellis, which has been completely overgrown by vines and other plants. Overall, I just tried to encapsulate the claustrophobic and cluttery feeling that you get when you look at these tight little alleyways. Continuing with that logic, we have an alleyway that connects up to the path in the main area of Zafiro Square. You may have also noticed this secondary path that goes along the outside of both this building and the furthest building. While this path is not entirely functional in-game, it does serve to dress up the back of the buildings and make it look like it fits into the Venetian sort of look of the area. And while I am calling this area Venetian, it is just Venice inspired, as you can see with the small rowboats and these sort of steep drop-off channel walls. If this was truly Venice, then there would be something on the other side, roughly this far, of the exact same thing, and it'd be a small canal. But given the geographical limitations of this park, I think it encapsulates that idea pretty well, just on one side. And we do have some smaller seating areas as well as some newer canopies. And capping off this path, we've got a nice wrought iron staircase. We're now at an interesting part in our world because now we have finished one major geographical area of the park. So, where does that lead us? Well, first, I'd like to go over kind of what we've done so far, as well as what the future holds for HARUNA. So at the beginning, we made this ginormous entrance building about 8 years ago, and then I stopped playing this park, but I did lay the foundation for the rest of these pathways and staircases. Over time, we've slowly dressed up the left side of this mountain, adding a flat ride, a restaurant, a bar, and a terrace. I did intentionally leave the right side unfinished as I have future plans for this area that I would like to add at the end when I finally know where everything is going to be. And then in episode 3, we started our resort. It consists of this hotel building. These are sort of combined in the same building, as well as the pool and hot tub area. The resort area, of course, with a minibar. In episode 4, we added Avanti Vineyards. our winery of the park and placed a lot of plants and shrubs. Also recently, I changed up the window pattern for this building. If you remember, I had these Gothic windows up front and it did not look very accurate at all. So gone ahead and added regular windows. Episodes 5 and 6 saw the creation and the detailing of this coaster, our B&M dive machine Amphion. This included lots of custom supports as well as a ruined sort of Greek temple theme, which you can find pieces scattered around the entire ride area. In episode 7, we started the left side of our main street, including this restaurant here, this carousel flat rise, as well as started our train transit system. Additionally, we created the irrigation system for the park, and this was designed to have water, any rainwater that starts in this area, filtered down into this basin, which then goes down into the smaller basin, which will eventually lead to channels in this area and drain off into the main river. I wanted to keep this sightline visible, so I sunk all of the rides on the main street to allow for maximum vision. Episode 8 saw a massive expansion as we added Safiro Square. This area consists of our Zarsen Superloop, as well as our Santa Maria del Fiore Cathedral. Additionally, the neighborhood is just sort of Mediterranean-style buildings, all with vending stands and drinks. Until finally in this episode, we've rounded out the area by enclosing this area and adding the waterfront. In episode 9, we added Plaisance Market, our very French main street, inspired by Disney and other notable French buildings. The market has live performers, vendor carts, our very special Liz's Bakery, and additional restaurants headlined by our very own Susie's Pizza. Also in this episode, we added Duomo Plaza, along with the massive dome to complete our Santa Maria del Fiore Cathedral. And most recently, we saw the addition of Avanti Falls, our log flume ride. If you're interested in the details of that, I highly recommend checking out the last video. So looking towards the future, guys, we have finally finished this area for the most part. I do have an empty area here, which I'm not too sure what I want to put there. I'm thinking maybe a wooden coaster, but I'm not too sure how much of the mountain I'm going to get rid of and how much landscaping I'm going to do. So that's why I'm holding off on completing the area fully, because I still got to add some things. So with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and chug along to the Japanese section of the park. So I'm super excited. I've got a new style of architecture that I need to look into, as I knew nothing about Italian architecture or Mediterranean architecture before I started this project. So learning these new styles has been a real blast for me. If you made it to this part of the video, I want to remind you to drop a like if you enjoyed your time here. And if you'd like to catch the next one, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell to get notified on when the next one comes out. And that is one you're not going to want to miss, because we are groundbreaking on Japan. But aside from that, that's all from me, friends. I hope you enjoyed, so take care, and I'll see you in the next one.